You send a message, 3 dots appear, then they vanish, nothing comes back, your chest tightens. Your thoughts start racing through every possible reason. Did you say something wrong? Are they angry? Is something wrong between you? You check your phone again, still nothing. The silence stretches and it starts to feel less like an absence and more like a threat. That feeling is not really about the phone. It is not even about this particular person. It is older than texting, older than language, older than you. It was already fully formed in you before you could speak a single word. In 1975, a psychologist named Edward Tronick ran an experiment that would later be called the still face paradigm. He sat mothers down across from their infants and asked them to do something simple. Play normally for a few minutes. Smile, coo, respond. Then on cue, go completely still. No expression, no response, just a blank, flat face staring back. The babies noticed immediately. They smiled harder, they pointed. They reached out, trying every trick they had to pull their mother back into the game. When none of it worked, something in them cracked. They twisted away. They cried. Some of them began to shut down entirely, as if the absence of a response was its own kind of injury. It was, and your body still remembers exactly how that felt, even if your mind has long forgotten the moment itself. Here is the part that should stop you for a second. A human infant cannot survive on its own, not for a day, not for an hour in most environments. For almost the entire span of human history, a baby's only chance at staying alive was staying connected to an adult who would feed it, warm it, and defend it. So evolution did something clever. It did not just make you need connection. It made disconnection feel like danger. Now zoom out not just a few decades. Go back 300,000 years to the earliest Homo sapiens moving in small bands across the African savanna. A baby left unattended was not safe. A caregiver who stopped responding even briefly was a signal that something might be wrong. Maybe she was distracted by a predator, maybe she was sick, maybe she was gone. In that world, a blank face was not neutral. It was information, and the information said, you might be alone now. Every infant who was wired to panic at that silence, who screamed and reached and refused to accept the disconnection, was more likely to get a response. More likely to be picked up, checked on, brought back into safety. And every infant who did not care, who shrugged off the silence, was less likely to survive long enough to grow up and have infants of their own. Across thousands of generations, that alarm system did not fade. It sharpened. That is the software you were born running, and it never got a firmware update. Zoom in now all the way down, past the level of behavior, past thought, into the wiring itself. In the early 2000s, a neuroscientist named Naomi Eisenberger ran a different kind of experiment. She put people into brain scanners and had them play a simple ball-tossing game with 2 other players, except the game was rigged. At some point, the other 2 players stopped throwing the ball to them, just left them out. The brain scans showed something strange. The region that lit up during that small social exclusion was the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that activates when your body registers physical pain. Being left out did not just feel bad the way disappointment feels bad. It registered at a neural level as something closer to an injury. Your brain does not have a separate department for social pain. It borrowed the one built for tissue damage, because for most of human history, social rejection genuinely was a threat to your body. Exile from the group meant no food sharing, no protection, no mate, often no survival at all. So when someone goes quiet on you, when a reply does not come, when a face across the table goes still, your ancient alarm system does not know the difference between a delayed text and a caregiver who has wandered too far from camp. It fires the same circuit. It floods you with the same low hum of dread. Your rational mind knows this is probably nothing. Your nervous system did not get the memo because it was never built for phones. It was built for a world where disconnection could genuinely mean death. Here is where it gets personal, because this is not a story about babies or lab experiments. This is a story about you, right now, in whatever relationship just came to mind while you were listening. That flicker of anxiety when a partner goes cold, the spiral of thoughts when a friend leaves you on read. The tightness in your chest during an argument when the other person just stops talking. None of that is you being fragile or overly sensitive. That is 300,000 years of finely tuned survival architecture, still running, still doing exactly the job it was built to do. And here is the twist that changes how you might see it. That reaching, that crying, that refusal to accept the silence, the same behavior Tronick watched in those infants, is not weakness. It is one of the most successful strategies your species ever produced. Every one of your ancestors, going back further than you can meaningfully picture, survived infancy in part because they screamed loud enough, reached hard enough, and refused to be ignored. You are not broken for caring this much when someone goes quiet. You are the descendant of every human who cared enough to fight for a response and got one. There is also something quietly beautiful hidden inside this. The same system that makes silence feel unbearable is the system that makes connection feel so good when it returns. In Tronick's experiments, When the mothers dropped the still face and went back to smiling and responding, most infants recovered within moments. The distress did not linger. It resolved fast into relief and joy because the system was never designed to punish you. It was designed to pull you back toward the people who keep you alive. The ache is not a flaw in the design. The ache is the mechanism working exactly as intended, pointing you back toward warmth. Think about the last time someone you love finally texted back after a long silence, or smiled at you again after a tense moment, or simply turned their face back toward you. That small flood of relief you felt was not random. It was your nervous system logging a successful reconnection, the same ancient reward that once meant a mother had returned, a group had welcomed you back, survival was, for now, secure. So the next time silence from someone you love makes your stomach drop, you do not have to talk yourself out of it as if it is irrational. It is not irrational. It is ancestral. It is the same circuitry that once kept a version of you, small and utterly dependent, alive long enough to become the person reading this sentence right now. You send a message, 3 dots appear, then vanish. And somewhere underneath that small, modern moment of worry, an infant you used to be is still reaching out across the crib, still refusing to accept the silence, still absolutely certain that if it just tries hard enough, the face across from it will come back to life. It usually does. And every time it does, 300,000 years of evolution exhales, just a little, right along with you.